He says, I'm being held here against my will. He keeps me locked in the bedroom and he steals my social security check every month. This is when I was a wet behind the ears investor. I didn't really know how to screen tenants very well. I didn't know how to screen tenants at all. And because of that, I rented to a very, very unsavory character. So here's the story. Two guys show up. They want to rent a house that I have listed on Facebook Marketplace. And they seem fairly normal. There's a younger guy. We're going to call him Kenny. I'm not giving the real names here. And then there's an older guy. We're going to call him Frank. Okay. Older guy is probably in his 60s and younger guy is probably mid 30s, maybe early 30s. Nothing really seems off. They're just roommates and they want to rent the place and they've got the deposit. They've got the first month's rent. They like it. So first mistake, don't do any kind of background check. Don't do any kind of research. Don't do any kind of pay stub checking or anything like that. Just let them sign a lease, move in. When I tell you I've made all the mistakes, I've made all the mistakes. Anyway, first month goes by, no problems. Second month, no problems. I think they were a little late on the rent, but not much. Third month, nothing. Can't get them on the phone. Go by, knock on the door, no answer, but there are plenty of cars in the driveway. As a matter of fact, way too many cars in the driveway. Can't get anybody on the phone, so I sent a text message saying, look, you're going to be evicted if you don't pay the rent. So some girl reaches out to me, says she lives there, that Kenny is her boyfriend. She asks if she can mail the rent. And I'm like, it's too late to mail the rent. You either need to cash app it or you need to deposit it into my account. So she says she'd do that. Never happens. And then I get a text message from the older guy, Frank. He says, look, I'm being held here against my will. He keeps me locked in the bedroom and he steals my social security check every month. Now, honestly, I wasn't sure what to believe. I kind of thought maybe this was some sort of scam to get out of paying the rent, but I decided to drive by there to help the guy out. When I got there, he wasn't there. Kenny wasn't there, but there were a bunch of women there. The woman that answered the door had a black eye. I asked her if she needed help. I asked her if she wanted to leave. I said I'd be happy to help them leave. She didn't want to go. So I knew something serious was actually going on here. I also knew that if I evicted this guy, then that wasn't going to help any of the people that were involved. It wasn't going to help the old guy. It wasn't going to help any of these girls that were living there. And so I didn't quite know what to do. But shortly after that same day, he calls me. He says, look, I need you to help me get out of here. I don't remember why he wasn't there when I showed up the first time, why the other guy wasn't there. Maybe he was there and there was hiding going on. I don't know. What I do know is that I told this guy, absolutely, I'll get you out. I was ready to do whatever it took. And so I told him that I'd tell the guy that you've got to let this guy leave. Otherwise there's going to be problems. And of course he didn't want to do that. He said, look, you just text me when you get on the street and I'm going to head outside and I'm going to make a run for the street. I was like, dude, that's what you want to do? Sure. Listen, before I go any further, I'll say that one thing I've learned since this time is that a background check isn't even enough. Okay. Now, anytime somebody is going to meet my leasing assistants or they're going to meet me if I'm showing the house, which I don't really do very often anymore, but either way, we look them up. We search for arrest records. We search for mug shots. We don't have to wait to pull a background check usually to find out if somebody's going to be a problem tenant. Now, people will argue about the legality of that all day long, and I'm not here to do that. I'm not here to discuss the legality of it. What I can tell you is that if I see somebody's been arrested 12 times for domestic violence and stealing a car and kidnapping, I'm probably not going to even meet them out at the property, and I'm not going to tell my listing assistant to do that either. So anyway, I highly recommend that if you're getting into property management or if you're managing your own properties, go ahead and search for mugshots. I use facial recognition software. It's free from I think it's facesearch.arrest.org. And then you can also look them up by their name at arrest.org. But anyway, I'll finish the story. So I text the guy as soon as I get onto the street. By the time I get to the house, he's running. And he's limping and he hops in. I think I was in a van at that time. I can't remember, but he hops in and I take him to a hotel. I get him a hotel for like a week and I tell him he needs to help get those girls out. And so we go to the vulnerable adults division of somewhere or another and we file a complaint and they can't really do anything or they don't do anything. We go to the sheriff's department. Now, keep in mind, the people that are sheriffs in the area that I'm at now, totally different people. But back then, they didn't do anything. Nothing. There was a special sex trafficking unit that was assigned to this area at that time. We gave them a bunch of information and this elderly guy showed how all of these girls were listed on this website for, sale, basically. For the evening, and they said they were going to raid the house. And so I wanted to wait until this guy gets caught and arrested before I finish the eviction or even start the eviction because I want him to get put away. I don't want him to continue hurting people. But after weeks and weeks, nothing happened. They just, I don't know exactly what the deal was, but if I had to guess, I would say that he had his hooks in various people in law enforcement at the time. He was affiliated with a very bad, very evil organization. And I eventually just evicted them before they left. They did about $10,000 worth of damage. I never was able to get the girls out. They didn't want to go. And, the sex trafficking unit wouldn't do anything. It was a really sad story. Obviously you can't solve all of the world's problems, but what I can say is before you let somebody move into your house, you might want to check their arrest record. Otherwise, you might be the one telling a story about kidnapping.